Hi, welcome to the next episode of VCF Breakroom Chats. I'm Tako Inishi, Product Marketing Engineer at Broadcom, and I lead product marketing for VCF Automation, which is a core component of VCF that powers the private cloud self-service experience. Today, we're going to talk about what an internal developer platform is. And joining me is my buddy, Jad Elzane, Principal Technologist for Modern Applications with the VCF division. Jad, thanks for being here with us today.
Hey, Taka, thanks again for having me. I'm excited to talk about IDPs today, which, by the way, is a great follow-up to the previous episode where we introduced this concept as part of platform engineering. So it's
Awesome. All right, so let's start with the basics. Platform engineering and internal developer platforms, they're getting a lot of attention. And from your perspective, what is an internal developer platform and why is everybody just suddenly talking about it?
um, y- again, as I mentioned, is a good follow-up after the platform engineering talk. But essentially, the internal development platform, or the IDP, um, or developer platform, sorry, is platform engineering's product or deliverable, right? Its core function is to provide self-service of app infrastructure, like the runtimes or runtime services, uh, Kubernetes, for example, database and data services, pipelines, and other tools, so that developers can quickly and safely go from code to production. And basically, instead of having every team handcraft infrastructure and their pipelines and having to understand the mundane details of any particular infrastructure or environment, the IDP gives them paved roads. And these are the pre-approved, enterprise-aligned, automated paths that handle things like security, networking, policies, and so on. And it does it all for them. And that's why, for example, the latest State of Platform Engineering report describes platform engineering as the operating model for the modern enterprise. And IDPs is how that model shows up in practice.
Gotcha. Yeah, a product that enables the platform engineering operating model. Got it. Now, many of the developers hear platform, they think tools. How is an IDP different from an IDE or from just,
Yeah.
adding more tooling?
Yeah, an IDE, good example, right? IDE is a tool and a local experience where the developer writes their code, for example, in VS Code, IntelliJ, and so on. And they are just tools, right? But an IDP is everything that happens after that point. It's the whole environment. It's that, again, that deliverable. It's your Kubernetes clusters, or touches your Kubernetes clusters, your service mesh, your data services and secrets and policies and deployment workflows and all the underlying infrastructure. And the key difference here is ownership and scope. The IDE, as that example, it's a personal tool. The IDP, or the IDP, is a shared product owned by the platform team. And it's got opinionated defaults, it's got guardrails, and it standardizes how apps are built and run across the entire organization. Right? It's designed to be aligned with the enterprise needs.
Mhm. Ownership and scope. Got it. Now, in the latest platform engineering research that you're just kind of mentioning, what are you seeing in terms of why enterprises are investing in IDPs now?
Yeah, that was fresh in my mind. That's why I referenced to it. But that report um, shows that platform engineering has essentially crossed the chasm. Right, most respondents now see platform engineering as critical to scaling software delivery. Teams that implement an IDP see higher developer productivity, meaningful reduction of incidents, and so on. Right, and so enterprises are doing this because they want consistency and speed at the same time. They also want faster onboarding, and they want more frequent deployments, right? Fewer tickets and help desk calls. So instead of saying, please create a cluster, or sometimes they say please, sometimes they don't, or open this port, and so on. Those are all just, it's just the mundane stuff, right? So the IDP turns all of that into self-service, for the developer, while still meeting the enterprise security and compliance requirements. It streamlines everything.
Yeah, at the speed of the developer. Yeah, makes sense. Next, kind of drilling down on outcomes. So, if you're a platform engineer, or maybe you're an aspiring platform engineer, what benefits do you get from building an IDP?
Yeah, I kind of just alluded to it. So first, get out of the ticket business or ticket queuing business, right? Instead of manually provisioning environments as those requests come in, define blueprints and the APIs once, and let developers self-service through the platform portal or GitOps flows or whatever pipelines or whatever their existing practices, right? Second, you gain real leverage. You standardize things like networking and security and observability across all the teams in all environments. And then you measure the impact in deployment frequency, or how long it takes to onboard something, or how many incidents you reduce, right? It's actually a product that you deliver that has real measurable outcomes. So it works very well for most enterprises trying to track that.
Very, very tangible benefits. All right, let's also connect this to VMware Cloud Foundation or VCF. So, if an IDP is the product that the platform teams deliver, what role does VCF, particularly the VCF automation component, kind of play behind the scenes?
Yeah, so VCFA specifically is essential. Um, well, it's really the infrastructure engine for the IDP, right? And it gives you the API, gives you the GitOps driven provisioning of your secure your compliant building blocks, right? So your VMs, your Kubernetes clusters, and all the associated storage and networking and other policies all around vSphere Kubernetes Service or VKS. So automation essentially just brings all of that together for you and allows you to stamp them out in a consistent way. So platform teams can wrap these capabilities into what we've introduced as those golden paths and provide them through self-service means. And in VCF automations, they become available as catalog items so that developers can request, for example, an app environment or an entire Kubernetes cluster for AI workloads or whatever it might be. Instead of thinking about the specifics that underline the infrastructure, the way we would have to do it if everything was separated. So the platform abstracts um, and VCF delivers that consistency through its various tools, right? You have reliable provisioning and infrastructure. You've got governance that spans all of it. And essentially you get moving pretty quickly.
Mhm. The engine for the IDP. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so there are several opinionated PaaS offerings that platform engineers can work with. How is, powering an IDP with VCF different?
Um, okay, well, let's take an obvious one, OpenShift, right? It's one example of a strongly opinionated Kubernetes first platform. Works well at that, right? An IDP on VCF takes a much broader view. It treats VMs and Kubernetes and containers alike, AI workloads, and so on, as first class citizens on a single cloud foundation. And then automation and operations and all of that spans all of that, right? Consistent underlying infrastructure. So for platform engineers, that means you can support modern containers and modern application workloads, your AI clusters, running on Kubernetes, also your existing virtual machines, and or new virtual machines, right? And all of that without forcing every team into a single runtime or a particular distribution and so on. You still build those golden paths and a developer-friendly portal, but your substrate is a hybrid platform that aligns with the reality of most enterprises and not just a greenfield container workload or a specific ask.
Got it. Now let's zoom in on the, Kubernetes and cloud native apps that you just kind of touched on. So how does an IDP on VCF help platform teams they're already deep into Kubernetes?
Well, with vSphere Kubernetes Service or VKS integrated right into VCF, you get the enterprise grade Kubernetes, and it's an upstream conformant Kubernetes engine. You get the GitOps driven cluster lifecycle, your service mesh, and all the policies that come out of the box. And then obviously that you could modify to fit your needs. And that gives you a consistent way to provision and manage many clusters across many teams and across many environments, all done in a similar, consistent way. So the IDP then abstracts those capabilities into simple experiences. These are, again, the golden paths for microservices, for um, you get standard templates with service mesh and observability baked right in, and you get self-service of compliant namespaces or clusters, right? Developers just consume Kubernetes, and the platform team manages it as their deliverable, as their product.
The power of a vertically integrated stack. Nice.
Exactly.
All right. Next, AI is on, everyone's roadmap, but, how does an IDP powered by VCF help platform teams deliver AI platforms for developers and also data scientists?
So with VCF 9, the VMware Private AI Foundation plus NVIDIA gives you the validated blueprints for AI workstations and AI Kubernetes clusters, including RAG focused configurations and so on. And with that, VCF automation can stand those up and stand up GPU enabled environments as repeatable, policy controlled services. So again, this is a fit for VCFA, where it could also expose those private AI services for things like managing model storage, for example, or your runtimes, your data indexing, your agents, and so on. And it's all used to simplify the deployment of private and or on-prem or sovereign AI applications. So from an IDP perspective, that means you can offer AI as a self-service product. All the things that come with AI, right? AI, I'm just using generically here. For example, a data scientist can request an AI workstation while a developer spins up a AI-ready Kubernetes node or cluster, um, all with the appropriate GPU profiles, security baked in, your network controls, all automatically applied. Or a developer uses the private AI agent builder service to create a customer service application, right?
Mm.
It all just comes together to make that whole process, whether it's AI or generic application, just streamlined.
AI services built in. Nice. Now, for engineers, who might not be or traditional VMware admins, maybe they're stepping into platform roles. Why should they care about VCF as part of their IDP strategy?
Well, I think most importantly, platform engineers are being asked to own the end-to-end experience because ultimately that's what it is, right? So from developer portal to runtime and everything in between. And so VCF gives them that programmable, declarative, API-driven foundation where they can treat infrastructure as a product of features rather than all the individual tickets. So you know, it it's a jump start. It gives them one way to consume all of the services, and it makes the platform engineering job much easier from the get-go. But even if you come from a Kubernetes or purely Kubernetes or SRE background, using VCF means you can unify traditional VMs, your modern apps running on containers or Kubernetes, AI, as we just mentioned, all under one automated model, right? It's a powerful story for your career. It's job growth, it's experience growth, and skill set growth. And you're not just a Kubernetes person; you're the owner of the platform that serves the entire business.
Great, awesome. All right, last question, before we wrap up. For teams who are just starting to define an IDP, what are the first practical steps that you'd recommend, and how can VCF help them get there?
Well, start with discovery, not technology. Figure out what you need, right? Talk to your developers and data teams, and anybody who you assume is going to be a consumer of this service. Use frameworks and benchmarks from reports like what I had mentioned earlier, the State of Platform Engineering report. Understand the pain points and the top workflows that you need to support. Then pick one or two situations or use cases to build these golden paths. Maybe a standard microservice or some small app on Kubernetes, and a simple AI use case. Quick wins, start small, take it from there. Implement them end to end on top of VCF automation. Use the API, use all the command line tools and all the parallel services that are provided for you. Use the self-service catalog, your best GitOps practices, blueprints, and so on, and make these paths delightful, if that's even a thing, right? So once you have real usage and real feedback, you can iterate and expand the IDP with a lot more confidence, and eventually become, the platform for all consumption, if not
Mhm.
most.
Got it. Thanks, Chad, for helping us understand what an IDP
Sure.
is.
Yeah, thanks as well, Taka. Always a pleasure, and I'm glad we'll be able to have this discussion. But I just want to leave you with one takeaway. Uh, a key thing here, and we repeat it over and over, is that IDP is your product, regardless of where you're coming from. If the task at hand is to provide and build a platform, and you become part of this platform engineering team, um, treat it as a product, right? With product, you have an opportunity to always make it better. You have an opportunity to start small and grow, and use the tools at hand and use the experiences that are available to you. And where VCF sits in all of this is that it makes that experience enterprise grade, right? Helps you provide consistent policy driven infrastructure for all workloads, right? Apply that to what you know, grow small. Start small and grow from there. And I think it's a recipe for success.
Great takeaways. All right. Hope you all like this episode. We look forward to continuing the conversation and help you turn your platform vision into a developer loved reality. This is your host, Taka Uenishi, signing off. Have an awesome week and see you until next time. Bye.